guys, welcome back to my channel. Trust you're doing good, trust you're doing great. This is the 100 days coding challenge, and I'm sure we're getting our hands on the code already. Okay, so we are going to be looking at GitHub today, how we can have access to GitHub. So GitHub is a version control system. By version control, we mean you are able to have a version of your code that you've written from your desktop to a remote server where you can have access to it remotely wherever you are. So you don't need to be with your computer to gain access to your code. All you need is to just pull your code to any computer at all, and you're able to work with your code, edit, and you are good to go. So that's the beauty of GitHub. So we are going to be learning how we can connect our GitHub to our VS Code and see how we can, push and pull code such that we have every version of our code in our GitHub account, and we can have access to it remotely. And this really applies when you are working for a client and you need to make some changes and you are not where your system is. You can easily just bounce to your GitHub and make your changes, or you need to have like different versions of your code. You can also use GitHub to do that without changing anything from the original code. Okay, so you can just have a version, a branch, like we call it on GitHub. You can have a branch of your code, and then you can easily work on that without tampering with the original code. All right, so let's just dive in right now. Just to mention, if this is the first time you're coming across my video, do well to subscribe. All right. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to download Git. So we need to download Git, and to do that we need to go to Git. So this is the URL to download Git, gitscm.com, gitscm.com to download Git. So you tap on downloads, and then here you have Mac OS, you have Linux, and you have Windows. So if you're on Mac, click on Mac and download Mac. If you're on Windows, I'm going to click on Windows because I'm on Windows right now. So here you can see we have different versions that you can download. So I always prefer the portable version. So you need to check if your system is 32-bit or if it's 64-bit. So if it's 64-bit, just tap on this and it will start downloading. If it's 32-bit, tap on this and it will start downloading. I already downloaded Git to my system. Now, once it downloads, the next thing you need to do is just to open the file and just tap on install. Once you tap on install, just tap next. It's a very simple process. Next, and then it will install on your computer. Once Git is installed, if you go to your computer, you should have something like this. And then if you right click also on your computer, you should also have something like this here, Git bash. So this is what we are looking for, this Git bash. Now, once that is done, the next thing you have to do is to go ahead and create an account with GitHub. So you have to go to this account. You have to go to this URL, github.com. Now I am already logged in, so if you are not logged in, it's going to show you where you can sign up, and once you sign up, you are logged in. When you log in, you should come to somewhere like this. So just go to github.com, and from there you can sign up. Or github.com/sign up. You can sign up, and once you sign up, then you can log into your account and you should have something like this. So this is my personal account for the purpose of the tutorial. So the first thing we want to do is to connect our GitHub to our Git. Now, what we downloaded before now, this guy is Git. And here, where we are here, is called GitHub. So this is the hub and the other is the Git. So we run our code from our local computer where the Git is, and then we send it to the hub, which is our remote server. All right. So here, let's go ahead and open our Git. I can just right click here and open my Git from here, just like this. Now this is my Git on my desktop. So the location right now is my desktop. Is showing that I'm on my desktop. Okay. Let me zoom this. Great. And the first thing we want to do here is to just check where we are. So PWD stands for print working directory, simply just to let us know where we are right now. So here I am in my desktop. So I can also list the items with ls. I can list the items in my desktop, just something like that. Okay, so now we can see all the list of items we have in our desktop. And the next thing we want to do, let me just clear this with clear my desktop. So the next thing we want to do is to try to sign up to connect our GitHub to our Git. Now, if we go to here I can see my username here. So this is my username, right? So we need to sign up our username and our email to Git. So to do that, you have to come to your log into your GitHub account and then come to where you have your profile picture, tap on it. Then you should see your profile name, your username. And then you're also going to add your email, which you use in creating this account. So let's go ahead and do that. First, we're going to use this command git config - global user dot name. All right, so here I will add my own username. So you need to add your username here. So my username is SundayWheezy. So I'm going to add that here. So I will use a single quote and I will type my username, which is SundayWheezy, and I will close the single quote and hit enter. And the next thing I will do is to now add my email. So git config -- global user dot email. So now it's email. The first one is name. Now it's email space. Now I'm going to add my email address between the single quotes. All right, something like that, and I'll hit enter. So to confirm if this is working, I will use this again, git config - global user.name and hit enter. So once I hit enter, it should report with my username. That should let us know that I have successfully connected my username to this account. So hit enter, and now you see it has my username here. So the next thing I would do is to do the same, and here I will check if my email is also connected. Hit enter, and here my email is connected. Good. So we are done with this stage. We are done with this stage. And once this is done, that means we can actually write our code from here and push our code to our GitHub terminal. All right, so let's go do the same thing with our VS Code. So let's go to our VS Code. Here, I want us to create a folder. So let's go and create a folder here. I'll just create a new folder, and let's call this Code It. All right, so I'll select this folder. So this is our folder. the next thing we will do here is to come over to our extensions, and here we're going to search for GitHub request. GitHub request, so this is it. GitHub pull request, yes, GitHub pull request. So you need to install this plugin. You see, I've already installed, so just tap here. When you come here, it's going to show install, so tap here to install it. I have already installed that, so I show on install. So that is an extension you want to have. Now once you are done installing this extension, the next thing we will do is to open our terminal. So let's go ahead and open our terminal. So this is our terminal. So tap here and let's open a new terminal. Here I want to use Git bash. So for my default is PowerShell, but I want to use Git bash. So I'm going to open to Git bash just like that. So I'm not using PowerShell, I'm using Git bash. So right now we're going to do the same thing. So here we're going to say git config - global user.name, and between the quotes put your username. For me it's on the Wheezy, just like this. All right, and hit enter. So I will do the same thing, but here is going to be git config - global user.email, and here I'm going to add my email address between the quotes. In between the quotes, make sure you always close your quotes. All right, and I will hit enter here. All right, so that is settled. So if I check now, I should have my email address here. All right, so that is settled. Good. So we can then close our terminal right now. We can close our terminal. Just tap on this S to close our terminal. Now let's go to our Explorer. So here we need to create a file. I will create my first file here and I'll call it readme.md. So readme.md is case sensitive. You see the readme, it's in capital letter, then the .md is in small letters. So this file is just a file that tells anyone that comes in contact with your GitHub folder that, oh, this is what this folder is all about. This is what this code is all about. So here we are just going to put up something here. You know, it has to be very detailed. If you are doing a professional project for a client, it has to be detailed. But let's just put something and say this project is for 100 days coding challenge. How to connect VSC to GitHub. You know, something very basic for now. And we'll just Ctrl S to save that. The next thing we will do is to create our, okay, so for now, let's leave it at that. And then we'll come back to create more files. So now we have the readme.md file. Let's add an HTML file here, index.html. Okay, and let's generate a boilerplate just like that. Let's change this to 100 days. All right, that's fine. So we'll save this. So we'll have two files now. So now we need to look for a way to push these files to our GitHub account. Now, the name of this project is Code Git. If you go to my GitHub, you see that in all my repositories, let me see all my repositories here, your repositories. I have code, I have low level, I don't have Code It right now, right? So we want to see how we can then send that file, that folder into our GitHub so that we'll have it here and such that we are able to use it wherever we are, okay? So let's see how we can do that. First, once we send this folder called Code It, it's going to come with these two files that we have created and everything that is inside the content of this file, just the way it is like this. That's how we're going to have it in our GitHub account. So how do we do that? We need to go to our source control and tap on source control. So here we need to publish to GitHub. Under source control, publish to GitHub. Now the name of our folder is Code It. So it's showing us Code It, yes. It's asking us, do we want to push it to the private repository or want to make it a public repository? Because this is a tutorial project, we're going to push it to public. If you're doing a project for client that you don't want others to see and copy your code, you can make it private. So now we're going to tap on public, and here it's asking us, do we want to push the two files or want to push just one file? So if we want to push just this, then we'll tick just that. We want to push the two, so we'll tick the two files. And if you have so many files, you just tick here to tick everything at once. So we've selected two files and we can just tap on OK. All right. So now it's trying to push our code. Let's see if it's going to request for us to log in or not. So there are times you try to do this and it will request that you log in. There are times you try to do this and it doesn't request that you log in. But let's see if it's going to move and push this to our GitHub. Still trying to push. So sending from your local terminal, that's your desktop, to GitHub is called push. Sending from GitHub to your local terminal is pull. So from here, we are pushing it to GitHub, and from GitHub, we are pulling to our local terminal. That can be either your VS Code or your Git. Okay, so now it's asking that we log in. So the easiest way to log in is to log in with a token. All right, is to log in with a token. So let's go ahead and get our token. How do we get our token? We'll have to go to our GitHub. Now this is our GitHub. Here we'll go to, so tap on your profile picture and then go to settings here. Now tap on settings, and here you have to scroll the way down to developer settings. So you tap on developer setting here. Here you have personal access token. Tap on it. We have two tokens. We have the fine grain token and the classic token. So we want to use the classic token. Please always use the classic token. So tap on classic token, and here we need to then create our classic token. So generate new token, classic token. Now we need to give our token a name. So we're just going to give it any name. I am going to say 100 days, just like this. And here is how long do you want your token to stay before it expires. For me, I just want this to be 7 days or less, because I am going to delete this token after now. Here we need to check what are we using our token for. For me, I advise that you just check everything, but you can also go through it and see what you can use a token for. I like to just check everything, right? That my token can do everything for me. And mind you, this is a secret pin, so you need to keep it well, because anyone that gain access to this token can actually gain access to your GitHub account. All right. So here we've checked everything, and then we'll just tap on generate token here. All right, and here we have our token that's been generated for us. So this is our token. Now this token, you need to keep it very well, because once we copy this token and we get out of this, we'll refresh this page, we're not going to have access to this token again. So it's advisable that you copy this token and put it somewhere in your wallet, in your notepad, somewhere where you know that you always get access to this token. So we tap here, we copy our token. Let's just keep our token here for now. Okay, so we are done with creating our personal access token. The next thing we'll do is to go back to our VS Code, and here we need to sign in with our personal token. So I will just paste the token here and I will tap on sign in. Right, so just by doing that, we succeeded in signing into our signing from our VS Code to our remote server, which is our GitHub account. Okay, now let's see if our code has been pushed. So here it says successfully published to Sunday/Code Git repository. So let's go to our GitHub and see if we have that. So we are going to go to our repositories here and see. So here we have Code It and it says updated now. That means it just, we just sent this file. So let's see if we have our two files there. Yes, so now we see we have a readme.md. Let's open it and see what is inside. So you see this project is for 100 days coding challenge, how to connect VSC to GitHub. And let's also see our index.html, which we created just a boilerplate. So it's trying to load. So you can see that we have our two files here that accompanied our folder, which is coded that we pushed to our GitHub repository. Now the question in your mind will be, what if I continue working and I update my code? How do I then push? Do I need to go through the same process all over again? No, you don't need to go through the same process all over again. Now let's go back to our GitHub while this is trying to load. Let's go back to our GitHub. Let's say, so this is our HTML file. Let's say we make some update to our HTML file. So you see here we have just this. So let's go back to our VS Code, and here we have to go back to Explorer, and in our Explorer, let's go to our index.html. So here in our body tag, let's just add a few code here, maybe a p tag, and here let's generate some random text just like that. Now let's add maybe an h1 tag. Okay. This is supposed to be a Lauren, yep. So let's add an h1 tag here. And let's just say my first heading and save. So let's also create a new file and call this styles.css. So now we have styles.css. We have our index.html file that we've added a few things into, and we want to push it back to GitHub. How do we do that? Just go back to source control, and here we need to add a commit message and say CSS or style sheet added. So a commit message is just to let you know why you push this code. Why did you push this code to GitHub? And you can make it detailed, or you can just list it and HTML file also updated. Okay, something like that. So let's go ahead and add these two guys to our GitHub. All right, so here we have to stage this, and they also have to stage this. Okay, so let's go ahead and commit. So it's trying to push to GitHub. Still trying to load. So once it's done loading, we'll go back to our GitHub and check and see if our files have been loaded. Okay, great. So now let's sync this. So synchronize your changes. So it's trying to sync this to GitHub. Once it's done syncing it, then we can be rest assured that our code is already there. Okay, so let's just give it some minutes to sync. While that is going on, let's go and refresh our GitHub. See if it's synced already. So yeah, it has synced. So you can see now we have our p tag and our h tag added. We have our p tag and our h1 tag added to our HTML file. And then we also have our styles.css, which is empty, nothing is inside. So basically, this is how we can keep pushing our file as we walk to GitHub, and you can have it there anytime, any day. And just to mention, here is our main branch. So we can also create more branches. We can create more branches to our project if need be. So what is the need for that? Sometimes you are done with your project and a client says, oh, I think you should have added this and this and this and this. I don't like the way this particular section is looking. So rather than making changes to your original code, which is your main branch directly, this is called a branch, you can just create a new branch, right? You can create a new branch and give it a name. So you can create a new branch and maybe anything that you can make that can make you to remember. So let's say variation, right? As a new branch. Okay. So now we have variation as a new branch, and we also have our main branch here. Now notice that when I created this variation branch, it copies everything that is inside the main branch. So you are able to duplicate the entire code of your website. Duplicate the entire code of your website, and once you duplicate it, you can then do some changes here. So at this point, any changes you make here, it's not going to affect the main branch. For instance, if let's say we want to keep this variation as our original branch and say, okay, hey, we don't want to touch this variation now. We want to edit from the main branch. So we can come back to our VS Code here, and let's say the owner of this project say, hey, I don't want the p tag here. So let's remove this, and then we just keep this. And as you know, maybe you should also add a button here to take somebody somewhere. So add a button and say click me, something like that, and save this. Okay, we save this now. So now we've made some changes to our main branch. We made some changes to our main branch. So if we go to source control now, here we have branches here. So we can actually change from whichever branch we want to, but now we want to push to our main branch. We want to make these changes to our main branch, okay? So what we can do is to add a commit message and say, hey, we want to push something. So here we're just going to add a commit message and say changes effected as requested by clients, something like that, okay? So we've been able to effect that change, okay? So what we can do now is that, so you can see the difference. So this is what we've just done. This is how it was before, okay? So we have to stage our changes just like that, and then go ahead and commit our code. Now we are pushing this to, so let's sync. We are pushing this to the main branch. So let's go to our GitHub while it's trying to sync. Here we'll refresh our code. Okay, so this is the variation branch, right? Now let's go to the main branch. Now this is the main branch. You can see that here in our main branch, we've been able to add a button, and we've also removed the P1 and the P tag and have just H1 tag and the button. But in variation, we still have the previous code the way it was. Now, this helps in case the client comes and says, no, I think it's better the way it was, before now. I think I prefer that look. Sorry about that. Can you reverse the code? Now, if you don't have a variation of your code here, you are going to rewrite that code again. But if the client say, oh, all you need to do is just come and gain access to your code. It's either you can just pull it or just tap here and copy your file from here. Just tap here, copy, go to your VS Code and change it. And that is all for that. You don't need to start writing the code again. So this is the beauty of GitHub. It helps you to save your code, helps to save time, and helps with you having access, gaining access to your code remotely anywhere you are in the world. All right, so that being said, the next thing I want to show us is to how we can then create a repository, which we call a folder, create a repository from our GitHub, and then gain access to it from our desktop, that is our VS Code. How do we do that? Now, you remember what we did before was to create a folder here, and from the folder, we were able to push to our GitHub. But now we want to create a folder from GitHub and see how we can gain access to it here. Now, this works when you are working with a team and your team member has created a folder and then added you to the project. Now, when you're added to the project, all you need to do is to gain access to your project, and then you can pull it to your code editor and you can work with it, okay? So how do we do that? First, we have to go to our GitHub account. Here, we'll go to this plus sign, or we'll have this plus sign, and here we're going to create a new repository. And let's give this repository a name and give it 100 days tutorial. I'm sure I don't have anything like that here. Yep, so it's valid. So if you have the same name already, it's going to show you that, hey, that name already exists. So here you can put a description if you like. I don't do that. Do you want it to be public or private? We want it to be public. And then can we add a readme.md file? Yes, let's just add it already so that we have a readme.md file. And all we need to do, the name, if we want it to be public or private, if you want to add a readme.md manual, or you just want to add it now. So that's done. We're going to tap on create repository. All right. So now we've been able to create this repository. Now we can gain access to this repository in two ways. The first way is that we can actually just go to our Git and clone this. or we can go to VS Code and gain access to this. So when we get to our Git and clone this, it will save it in our desktop, and from our desktop, we can get access to it from our VS Code. Now, that works sometimes when your VS Code is misbehaving, because there are times your VS Code might just want to misbehave. You can just use it, and it's really simple. But how do you do that? First, tap on code. Here we have this code you can see. We're going to pick this code here. We pick this code, so we just tap on that code to have access to that code, and then we'll have to go to our local terminal, our VSC for this. So let's go to our VSC. So here, I want to go to source control, and let's go to clone. So we're going to look for clone, which is this. So we tap on clone, and here is asking us to provide a URL of what we want to clone. So I'll just paste this URL here. Now we can also add our token here. We can add our token here. So let's go and pick our token and see. So this is my token which I've created before, and here I'm going to add my token. Okay, that's disappeared. Let's do that again. Or let's just go back to this, pick our code. We can use this, our code here. I will show us how we can also use our token with the Git. So let's go to version control. From here, let's go to clone, and from here, paste our token here, and paste our URL here, and try to clone. So it's asking us where we want this to be saved. So we're going to go to desktop and then save it to desktop, just like that. So yes, asking if we want to open it, so we say yes, open it. So now we have our repository which we just created. 100 days tutorial, we have it here in our VS Code with an empty readme.md file. Okay, so this is how we can also create folders from our remote server and get access to it here. So now we can start with our code. So let's work with our code and say index.html. So let's just have that there. And we can add something. Let's generate a boilerplate, something like that. Let's change this to 100 days and save this file. So now we have one file added. All right, we can also add something here. This is a tutorial. Okay, save this. Now go to version control, add a commit message and say first commit on new files added. Always make sure you add a commit message, new files added, something like that. And here we just modify this, so we can just tap on this to stage this, and then our index.html file, tap on this also to stage this. So now we're good to go. We can tap on commit to commit our two files. Okay, so once they are committed, we sync this. If we go to our GitHub now, you see that we've been able to update our repository. We've been able to update our repository which we created from our GitHub. So let's go and refresh this. If we refresh this, we should have a new file. Okay, so still trying to sync. Let's give it some time for it to sync properly. Okay, I think that is done now. So let's go to our repositories here. 100 days tutorial, and open this. So now we have our files that we just added, our index.html and then our updated readme.md file. Okay, so this is how you can just go ahead, add your files, commit, change branch if you want to change your branch, update your file code from here and pull to your desktop. You can do a whole lot like that. Okay guys, so that's where we call it a day in today's tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Please try to go through this over and over again until it sinks. And see you guys in our next class. Just take care and keep coding. Make sure you code every day. That's the slogan. Bye for now.